So good morning everyone. This is 16th of March and JEE second session is going to start today. Means month of February JEE have first session, first phase, and phase 2 is going to start today. So biggest challenge for a student how to revise all the formulas at a glance. So I'm trying to cover all this topic and important formulae at a glance so that you can understand actually what to revise at the last moment. So these are the topics which you can see on the screen, which we are going to cover all the formulae of this topic. It is not possible to cover these all formulae in one lecture, so I'll take a series of 3 lectures. So in less amount of time I am going to cover all the formula. So first thing, unit and measurement. You should remember that these are 7 fundamental quantities: length, mass, time, temperature, electric current, luminous intensity, amount of substance. These are the symbols with which length is denoted by m, mass kg, time second, electric current ampere, temperature Kelvin, luminous intensity candela, and amount of substances mole. Now there are two supplementary quantity which are plane angle and solid angle, which can be represented in radian and steradian. Now guys, actually there are some things which you have to keep in mind, because they will give you some unit, and sometimes a student don't take care of unit, and they does some mistake. Centi means 10 raised to power minus 2. If I'm saying milli is actually 10 raised to power minus 3. Micro is 10 raised to power minus 6. Nano is 10 raised to power minus 9. Pico is 10 raised to power minus 12. Similarly, kilo is 10 raised to the power 3 and mega is 10 raised to the power 6. If they have a gigahertz, so they're 10 raised to the power 9. So these things you should keep in mind. If they have given some unit, you have to convert it properly. Now actually unit and dimension video I have made in very detail. I have taken 10 or 11 series of lectures for unit and dimension, so I'm not going to give too much attention on this topic. Now guys, in rectilinear motion, since you guys are in JEE, so they will not ask simple things. So they will, this is average velocity formula, total distance, total displacement upon total time taken, and if average speed, so total distance upon total time taken. So they can ask you, if you cover in 3 different intervals, some persons traveling from A to D in 3 interval A to B and B to C, in this speed is 20 meter per second, and here 30, and here 40. So you have to calculate average speed or average velocity, depends upon the question. So you should just apply this formula to get the results. Average speed is total distance upon total time taken, and average velocity is total displacement upon total time taken. As you know, the displacement is a vector quantity. Now guys, one more important question JEE asks, actually instantaneous velocity. What is instantaneous velocity? So if you calculate average velocity like r final minus r initial, that is position vector, I have represented r final and r initial. So this is known as delta r, and delta t I can say that when I take limit delta t tends to 0, means time is not very far value. The value of time tends to 0. When limit tends to 0, this will become instantaneous velocity. Suppose if any expression of velocity is given like 3t square plus 7t plus 5, so you have to calculate instantaneous velocity differentiating dv by dt. So sorry, this is given r is given, position vector is given like this. So you can calculate dr by dt as 6t plus 7, and substituting the value of t tends to 0, so you get the value of this instantaneous speed at that time. So these things you should keep in mind. Average velocity at any instant, if you are calculating, that is instantaneous velocity, that is dr by dt at t tends to 0. Then average acceleration is what? Final velocity minus initial velocity upon delta t, t final minus t initial. So actually from here you can derive first equation of motion also, because a is equal to, I have taken final velocity v, initial velocity u, and time taken is, if particle is starting from 0 origin, means t minus 0 is like that. So you can write a into t is equal to v minus u, and from here v is equal to u plus at. This you have to keep in mind. Then guys, instantaneous acceleration, they can ask these things also. Limit t tends to 0, delta v by delta t. Now some graphs which is important, actually if you understand this nature, you will come to solve some question. Like if I have one graph which is vertically upward parabola like this, vertically upward parabola like this, so this acceleration is always greater than 0 here. Keep in mind, JEE may ask this type of question. When acceleration is always positive, which type of following graph is possible, and acceleration is always negative, this type of graph you have to keep in mind. Okay, in detail I will discuss sometimes other. Now xt graph, position time graph. Actually from this position time graph you will calculate the expression, first equation of motion, because you know that slope of velocity time graph gives you, slope of velocity time graph gives acceleration. So this acceleration can be calculated by this slope, and if you know that this slope, you can calculate this as, suppose this is final velocity v, so a is equal to v minus u by t, you can calculate the final. Now slope means tan theta, how much angle it is making with x-axis in anti-clockwise direction. So this slope is positive and this slope is negative. So JEE asked one question that when particle is thrown vertical, when a ball is thrown vertically upward, what is the graph? So guys, actually when ball is thrown vertically upward, you have maximum velocity at the instant now when you are throwing the ball, and it will be like this. This is the answer of the equation. It is asked in JEE 2017 or 18. You can cross check. This is velocity time graph for the particle which is thrown vertically upward. So slope negative and positive, what meaning you can understand from here. Acceleration positive means above the graph, and acceleration negative, that is means below the acceleration curve. You should understand that in this type of question they will ask sometimes you maximum and minimum velocity, or when it will attain the maximum acceleration. So some concept of maximum minimum you have to keep in mind. Dy by dx is equal to 0, means slope is becoming 0. So that means what, at this point the particle can attain minima or maxima if dy d2y by dx square is less than 0, then maxima will exist at that point, and if it is greater than 0, then minima will exist at this point. Now you should keep in mind equation of motion. Actually if acceleration is constant, don't forget guys, this formula is not valid when acceleration is, this formula is not valid when acceleration is not constant. This all formula is valid only acceleration is constant. So v is equal to u plus at, s is equal to ut plus half at square. You cannot underestimate this formula, because sometimes I can show you this formula is also important for JEE, some question being asked. S is equal to ut plus half at square and minus half at square when acceleration is positive and acceleration is negative. You can also write this is v is equal to u minus at when acceleration is negative. Then x final minus x initial, this is the same format of this formula, is equal to ut plus half at square. JEE asks question on this initial and final position also. V square is equal to u square plus 2as, even as well minus. So s is, this is average of u plus v by 2 into t, and distance travel in nth second. If you remember this formula, you can directly calculate the time required, because many time they have asked this question, u plus n 2n minus 1 into a by 2, or you can u plus 2n minus 1 by 2 into a. This is distance travel in nth second. So if freely falling case you are considering, so v is equal to u plus 18, but I have taken actually u as 0 in case of freely fall. So v is equal to minus gt, s is equal to minus half gt square, v square is equal to minus 2as, and distance travel in nth second will becomes like this. This is same thing, you not keep in mind this all things. So now here one thing I want to tell you, that before completion of these things, if they have given acceleration but they have not given acceleration as a function of time, like they have given acceleration as 3x square plus 5x plus some constant, and you have to calculate some expression for velocity or anything like that. So guys, actually what you can write, dv by dt multiplying it by dx and dividing it by dx. So what will happen by doing these things, because this is a function of x, so dx by dt again can be written as v dv by dx. You can write this acceleration can be written as v dv by dx is equal to 3x square plus 5x plus c, and you can write v dv is equal to x times of this 3x square plus 5x plus c into dx, and now you can integrate on both sides and taking the proper limit. Suppose it is u to v, and it is from 0 to or some position x initial to x final. So you can solve this question by this method. When acceleration is a function of time or a variable, you can use this differential calculus method to solve this question. Keep in mind. Now projectile. So actually they ask some simple questions on projectile. Actually JEE Mains is not totally focusing on basics of NCRTs, so that is not very tough type of questions that you will see in this session also. So T is equal to 2u sine theta by g. What is theta? Theta is angle of projection through which particle is thrown. U is initial velocity and g is acceleration due to gravity. So 2u sine theta by g is time of flight. Range is basically, guys, how to calculate range. Range is ux into t, because we break it into two components. This is ux and this is uy. So you have to use ux into t as calculation of range. So ux is nothing but u cos theta, and t is time of flight, which is 2u sine theta by g. So you can simply say that this is u square sine 2 theta by g, which is the formula of range. At what angle range will be maximum? When theta is equal to 45 degree, range will be maximum, because when you put theta is equal to 45 degree here, this becomes u square by g, which is maximum value. Sine 90 is 1. Now guys, angle of projection theta and 90 minus theta, range will be same. If you should keep these things in mind, some question you can solve easily. For angle of projection theta and 90 minus theta, range will be same. Maximum height formula is u square sine square theta by 2g, and theta at theta 90 degree height will be maximum. So for maximum range theta 45 degree, for maximum height theta should be 90 degree. Equation of trajectory you can also remember as a result. So u is equal to x tan theta minus half g x square upon u square cos square theta, because most of the students find very difficult to find these things, but this is not difficult to find, guys. If you forget in exam, even you can also derive in 2 minutes. Okay, and this is x tan theta 1 minus x by r. In range format I have written this. I have taken x tan theta common and write like this. So you know that, guys, y is equal to u sine theta, y component of means displacement I am writing, minus half gt square, and you also know that x is equal to u cos theta into t. When you substitute the value of t here, na, u cos theta t into t I should write, sorry, you substitute the value of t here, na, so you will get y is equal to u sine theta into u, I am substituting t, so x by u cos theta I should write, na, minus half g x by u cos theta whole square. So you get the same result, u tan theta, because this u cancel, x tan theta minus half g x square upon u square cos square theta. Now guys, this formula actually you have to keep in mind. I am telling you the shortcut trick to get this result. So suppose if this angle is alpha, angle of projection, this is projection from an inclined, this is alpha and this is beta, guys. So you should remember that the formula, whatever time of flight, you know that, na, this time u sine theta by g, you should write as it is. So what you will write, u 2u sine alpha by g, na, 2u sine alpha by g you will write, but in denominator what you should do, guys, cos beta term also will come. cos beta term will come. This is very simple to remember. Why cos beta comes? Suppose beta comes 0 degree, so this becomes 1. So 2u sin theta sin alpha by g. This justify the same formula. So time of flight, you can simply write this. Height, you can simply, maximum height, you can also write that by the same formula, and maximum you write here cos beta. Like I'll show you. Maximum height can be written as, I'm writing here, u square sin square alpha by 2g cos beta. This is the formula of H maximum, guys. But the formula of range is little bit difficult to remember. So this I have written up the incline and down the incline. Time of flight and range will be same. The thing is that time of flight and maximum height will be same, but range will be actually, in one case it will be plus when you are up the incline. This is the up the incline, when you are throwing the up to the incline. So 2u square sin alpha cos alpha plus beta upon g cos square beta. If you not remember this formula, you can derive, but if you remember this one, you can actually save your time. So 2u square sin alpha cos alpha minus beta upon g cos square alpha. These things you have to keep in mind. Now guys, in a relative velocity problem, you have to apply some concept which is very important, because formula is not directly applicable in relative velocity problem. So velocity relative, you can write v a b. If you are writing the velocity of a with respect to b, this is va minus bb. So velocity of anything with respect to anything, you can write by using this formula. Acceleration or relative position with respect to any other vector, you can write like this. Now guys, the river swimmer problem or rain man problem, this type of problem usually you see. So what is the time to cross the river, what is the, all the things I have taken as it is. So velocity along the river, suppose river is flowing like this, guys. River is flowing like this. Velocity along river is vx, and velocity perpendicular to river, they have taken this, guys. Velocity perpendicular to river, so v of man, suppose man jumps like this. So velocity of man with respect to river. So net velocity, how you will calculate, guys? See, you know the word one velocity with respect to river is this direction, and man is jumping like this. So if you have to take resultant of these two vector, this will be give you the resultant velocity. Like this is velocity along x-axis, which is velocity vr, and this is vmr. So resultant of this, you can know resultant of this can be calculated by parallelogram law of addition. So parallelogram law of addition, this is just, I can write this is nothing but resultant, which is under root vmr square plus vr square. This is the net speed given by velocity of man with respect to ground is vmr square plus vr square. Okay, this you have to keep in mind. Now shortest path and drift, actually these things they can ask you. So velocity perpendicular to the river is what? Actually I know that this velocity y can be written as vmr square plus vr square. Actually guys, I'll make separate video on these things, but for quick revision I cannot explain you too much about this facts. And velocity of net speed is vmr square minus vr square. So this you have to keep in mind. And time to cross the river is what? Time to cross the river is velocity along y-axis, which is actually this velocity you will take, and the distance width of the river d upon this velocity. So this velocity is vmr, which you can write in terms of this thing. So you can calculate this velocity y they have written. So the thing is that this all things you have to calculate with respect to, suppose time or width, depth, anything you have to calculate, you have to calculate this formula. Now one thing you have to keep in mind. So if v, this sine theta you have calculated, suppose theta is the angle which you have taken this. So if theta will be, see this angle you have taken theta, if in what case drift cannot be 0. So you should remember this formula, sine theta is equal to, I am writing vr by vmr na? So you should keep one thing in mind. If theta is 90 degree, theta cannot be greater than 1. So if velocity of river is greater than velocity of man with respect to river, in that case drift zero is not possible. Drift zero is only possible river is flowing lesser speed and velocity of man with respect to river is more. Vr is less than Vmr, then only drift minimum zero is possible. If this condition, drift zero is not possible. Now rain man problem, again same thing. Suppose if rain is falling like this, man is running like this, so with which speed actually rain is falling. So again you have to take the resultant of these things. So I'll make separate video on these things, guys. Actually relative motion is very important topic, so I'm not able to describe all these things in short span of time, but I'll definitely make some separate video on this topic. So Newton's law of motion, what you have to keep in mind, the thing that how to make free body diagram to any question, and this free body diagram will help you to understand many things. Okay, so this is third law of motion, F BA is equal to F minus AB, or F AB is equal to minus F of BA. This is a second law, rate of change of momentum, F along x-axis dpx upon dt. What is momentum? Momentum is quantity of motion present in a body, mv. It is a vector quantity. So sometimes they have asked the dimension of momentum as well as a momentum relation with any other quantity, impulse momentum theorem, like that. So Vy is equal to may and maz. Actually this is now weighing machine. What actually, guys, weighing machine problem, what student make mistake, weighing machine does not measure weight. Actually what weighing machine measures, weighing machine measures the force exerted by object on the surface. So that is why, guys, actually what happens when a lift falls freely, lift actually string breaks. Suppose string of the lift has been broken, so now it is falling with g. In this case weighing machine will show zero. Why, guys? Because this is normal, this is mg, and I can write equation mg, because acceleration is downward, mg is dominating, mg minus n is equal to m into a na? So mg minus n is equal to m into a. So if you can write this value of a is equal to g, so this cancel this, so normal becomes 0 na? So normal becomes 0 means person will feel weightlessness, but it is not guys. Actually person actually vanish or something like that. Person feels weightlessness, but still person has the same weight. So weighing machine actually never measures weight, it measures only the normal reaction which is applied by the ground. Spring force is equal to minus kx. This is Hooke's law. Now this all property you had not, so you should remember this is kx is equal to, if spring is cut into m to n ratio. So what is actually they have asked this question earlier. So what is the length? L1 is equal to m times of length by m plus n, and L2 is equal to n times of L upon m plus n. So k into L is equal to k1 L1 is equal to k2 L2. Now, guys, spring series and parallel combination very important, and you should keep in mind, like resistance in parallel and resistance in series. Resistance in parallel and resistance in series you can remember like that. So this is resistance in series, spring in parallel. So this just opposite you have to keep in mind, guys. 1 by k equivalent 1 by k1 plus 1 by k2, like this, and this, like this type of question. Simply they can ask that what is the velocity of the pulley. So velocity of the pulley is nothing but the average of these two velocities. So this velocity I have taken downward. So this is v is equal to vp is equal to v1 plus v2 by 2. But suppose, guys, if this velocity is upward, so you can write v1 minus v2 by 2, because I have taken downward direction positive. Okay, so this velocity of pulley and acceleration of pulley you should keep in mind. Now, guys, this is Atwood machine acceleration you can directly remember, because in NEET they have asked this question, but JEE also asked some question based on this Atwood machine. So acceleration is the greater mass m2 minus m1 upon m2 plus m1 into g, and tension is equal to 2 m1 m2 divided by m1 plus m2 g. We have discussed this all things in class also. So wedge constraint problem. Suppose, guys, actually in this wedge constraint problem there is something too important. Suppose they will ask you, if this block is not moving over the wedge, so what will happen, guys? So actually this type of question you can apply the concept of pseudo force also to solve. Suppose if you are pulling this wedge to the right, the pseudo force acts on the left and this pseudo force magnitude is, suppose this particle mass is m, mass m, acceleration of the frame of the system ma is acting like this, and now you can break it into component and you can find out the suppose is falling like this, so mg sine theta will act along this component now guys, because mg is acting vertically downward, so mg sine theta is acting along this direction. You can take the component of pseudo force along this direction and equate just these two, get the value of required acceleration. Now guys, actually a pseudo force is basically only applicable when you are analyzing the problem with non-inertial frame. So pseudo force is only taken into account when you are dealing with non-inertial frame. What is non-inertial frame guys? A frame moving with non-zero acceleration, means the accelerated frame, or simply I can say that accelerated frame is known as non-inertial frame. What is inertial frame? When it is moving with constant velocity or acceleration is equal to 0, if I can say that, or even body, even frame at rest, you can say that this is inertial frame of reference. These things you have to keep in mind. Apart from that, in Newton's law, you have to keep in mind guys, when tension is like I can suggest you problem number 34 a b c of hcv, you can keep in mind so that you can just answer the questions of like that. When tension is 2 times of t, like pulley is like this, suppose guys this is a this tension is T1 and this tension again is T1. So this tension I have taken T. So I can make the free body diagram of the pulley guys. So you can write that if acceleration is downward of this pulley downward, so this you can write T1 plus T1 2 T1 minus T is equal to mass of pulley into acceleration, and usually mass of pulley I take 0. So this is actually 2 T1 minus T is equal to 0. That means 2 T1 is equal to T and T1 is equal to T by 2. So this T1 is equal to T by 2, you can apply those type of questions. Now friction are of two types, kinetic friction and static friction. So I'm not talking about rolling friction here. Rolling friction I'll discuss in rotational dynamics. So kinetic friction can be written as mu k into n always, but static friction is self-adjusting friction. Maximum value of static friction, that is limiting friction, can be written as mu s into n. Okay guys. Now static friction, this graph you should keep in mind. F maximum I have written, this is limiting friction mu s into n. This is self-adjusting friction, that's why I have also here it is written means static friction is variable and self-adjusting friction. So this, suppose this I have taken static friction graph. So this actually at up to this point it is increasing, then after this point actually body started in motion, that is this is limiting friction. So this is limiting friction, this is kinetic friction, and this part is static friction. So this graph you should keep in mind, friction versus applied force. Now guys, work energy chapter is very important for JEE mains and advanced also. So what things you have to keep in mind? Work done by variable, actually work is force and displacements dot product. Since this is dot product, this is a scalar quantity, you have to keep in mind. Now if you have to calculate work done by variable force, again you have to write f dot ds and then integrate it to taking proper limit, then you can calculate the value. So some question they ask, simple question one on momentum and kinetic energy expression, like many times they have asked this question, what is the relation of kinetic energy and momentum? Last year also they have asked this question, and this dimension is very important. So kinetic energy, you know that guys, half mv square, no? I'm multiplying m and dividing by m, so this is m square v square divided by 2m, no? So kinetic energy can be written this momentum p square by 2m, so this is written p square by 2m, and this p can be written as 2m k under root directly like this. So potential energy, actually you should write that this expression is valid for conservative forces. When forces are conservative, you can write du is equal to minus f dot dr. Okay, and if you are taking integrating proper limit, you can calculate the potential energy. So f is equal to, from this expression you can write f is equal to minus du by dr. So du by dr, when you taking this expression this side, you can calculate the value of x. Work energy theorem is one of the most important theorem which is not valid for this chapter. This is valid for electrostatics, this is valid for magnetism and all the remaining chapter in physics. So change in kinetic energy is equal to, this work kinetic energy theorem is change in kinetic energy is equal to total work done. So what is total work done, guys? Work done can be by conservative forces, work done can be non-conservative forces, and work done by any other forces like spring force and any other force. You can add all the work done and equal to change in kinetic energy. Now guys, one thing you have to keep in mind, energy conservation, which is, you know that na, final energy is equal to kinetic energy final plus kinetic potential energy final is equal to kinetic energy initial plus potential energy initial. This is valid only for conservative forces, this is valid only for conservative forces, but work energy theorem is valid for all the conservative and non-conservative forces. Okay, so power you can write W by T, power you can write W by T. So W is equal to force dot displacement upon T. So you can write F dot V. Directly dot product of F and V, you can calculate the power. So guys, next we have taken circular motion. Circular motion, you have to remember some result directly, like this omega average, angular velocity average is equal to delta theta upon delta t, and instantaneous if you have to calculate the limit delta t tends to 0, which becomes d theta by dt. Okay, average angular acceleration is again d omega del omega by del t, and instantaneous is d omega by dt. I told you na guys, when it is given in terms of theta, d omega by dt multiply by d theta divided by d theta, because you know that d theta by d theta is omega. Same thing which we have done there, I will do here also, d theta by d omega by d theta. Now guys, this is v is equal to r omega, most of the book write, but actually v is equal to cross product of omega cross r. Actually they are making angle 90 degrees, so always we not write this formula, but you should keep in mind, because JEE may confuse by asking some question on this concept where v is equal to omega cross r. Now guys, two things you have to understand here. There are two types of acceleration in circular motion. So I have discussed already in class. Circular motion can be uniform circular motion and non-uniform circular motion. If I am talking about uniform circular motion, only tangential acceleration will come into picture. Sorry, only radial acceleration will come into picture, means tangential acceleration is 0. So what is the role of radial and tangential acceleration is there? Radial acceleration will be always present. So AR will be not equal to 0 in both the cases. But tangential acceleration used to increase the speed of the particle moving in circular motion. So here actually speed is constant. And keep this thing in mind guys, circular motion is an example where speed is constant, but acceleration and velocity is variable. Acceleration and velocity variable. Why? Because velocity and acceleration includes direction also. So I'm just not changing speed, so tangential acceleration is 0 and tangential acceleration is not equal to 0. What is this tangential acceleration? This is can be written as dv by dt. So this also can be written as, because you know that v is equal to omega r na, dv by dt. I can write d omega into r by dt. So this I can write guys, r constant, because circle radius is constant, d omega by dt. So this also written as omega r omega by r d omega by dt, or r alpha, but also can be written as omega dr by dt when omega is keeping constant and radius is variable. These two things you have to keep in mind about tangential acceleration. Now net radial acceleration, always keep in mind v square by r. So resultant of this thing, suppose this guys is centripetal acceleration or radial acceleration, this is tangential acceleration, this is non-uniform circular motion. I have taken non-uniform circular motion, and resultant A can be written as under root of at square plus ar square. This two resultant, this is the net acceleration in circular motion. Okay, you have to keep in mind. Now guys, what is the way to calculate angular velocity's direction? Suppose a particle is moving with omega, so these all are axial vectors, so you have to use right hand rule to calculate the direction. So I'm just calculating right hand by, I'm curl my right hand toward this direction, so alpha is this direction, omega in this direction. So these are axial vector, you should keep in mind. Radius of curvature formula, if you remember, this formula is valid in maths also, so you have to keep in mind. Directly in maths they can ask this formula. So this radius of curvature is 1 plus dy by dx whole square to the power 3 by 2 upon d2y by dx square. Directly you can remember this formula. And radius of curvature is what? V square by a perpendicular. In JEE they have asked this question also. What is radius of curvature? Suppose they have thrown the particle with some height, so you have to calculate radius of curvature. Suppose velocity is this and perpendicular acceleration is this. Suppose this velocity is v, so you can write directly v square by g is radius of curvature in this case. So you have to take perpendicular component of this acceleration here. Okay, now these things you have to keep in mind. Suppose when a car is moving along a track like this, so this is normal, guys. This is weight acting vertically downward, so component of weight along this is mg cos theta. So I can simply write that, since if you are seeing from ground frame of reference, you can say that this normal minus mg cos theta is equal to mv square by r, because in this case centripetal acceleration acting toward the center. In ground frame, centripetal force will come into picture. So n is equal to mg cos theta plus mv square divided by r. Now guys, if someone is sitting in the car and writing the expression, so he will feel that centrifugal force is acting away from the center because he is in accelerated frame. So he will write mv square by r this side. So he will write directly n is equal to mg plus mv square by r. Keep in mind this depends upon frame of reference. Here you are applying pseudo force or centrifugal force when you are analyzing this with this frame of reference. Now guys, if you are just at the top surface like and going like this, so normal acting like this and mg cos theta like this. In this case, actually if you are sitting in the car and writing the expression, the centrifugal force will act away from the center, and you can write n plus mv square by r is equal to mg cos theta. So n becomes mg cos theta minus mv square by r. You can solve some question of HCV. I forget the question number, like 22 or like that. This type of curvature they have given when a person is moving like this type of curvature they have given, guys. Person at the top, person at here. So when person at the top, friction and this position, actually friction is 0. Here friction is there. So you can just check this question and solve it. Now guys, for safe limit, you have to remember that v is equal to under root mu g r. This direct formula, many questions they have asked in this formula. And omega is equal to under root mu r by g. Mu g by r. Omega is equal to v by r, na guys. So from there I can get this value directly. Now this bending of the cyclist, even this type of question, actually suppose a person actually moving in a car and car is moving like this, so how much angle the bob turns. So suppose this angle also theta. This is bending of the cyclist or turning of the car like this, moving with acceleration a, guys. I can write this tension T is acting above, mg is acting downward. So component this theta if I have taken, so I can write that this component is T cos theta, na? T cos theta is balancing weight mg, and T sin theta is providing a required centripetal force. T sin theta actually is nothing but, I can also say that T sin theta is equal to mv square by r, because this I'm just dividing this two. So just dividing this two, I can say that this is actually, guys, see, dividing this equation 1 by 2. So this is tan theta is equal to v square by rg. So this cancel, mv square by rg. So directly bending case, you can directly use this formula, tan theta is equal to v square by rg. Even banking of the road without friction, you can write tan theta is equal to v square by rg. Banking of the road with friction, you can write v square by rg. And this equals to banking with the banking problem. I will also discuss this all parts. See guys, this is just quick revision, so I'm not going to give you all the reason, but I will discuss all these things in my videos. So v square by rg is equal to mu plus tan theta upon 1 minus mu tan theta. Okay, you can remember this as tan A tan B formula, like tan A mu is tan A, tan theta is tan B. Tan A plus tan B is 1 tan A plus tan B upon 1 minus tan A tan B, like this. Then now this maximum and minimum, say this is the SC Verma portion we have taken. So this maximum is what? Mu times of mu plus tan theta. This expression you can simply see that I have just copied here. This mu tan theta 1 minus mu tan rg under root, and this is actually tan theta minus mu upon this. Just the minimum case I have taken the sign, just interchange this sign, I have interchanged. So if you remember this formula, na, some question may be asked in this question, but if JEE Mains not asking this, JEE Advanced will ask some question on this concept. Okay, so centrifugal force I already tell, pseudo force is m omega square r or m v square by r. You can use this result to calculate what is effect of gravity on the rotation of the earth. So n is equal to mg minus m omega square r cos square theta. You have to keep in mind this formula. So this you can find the result also, derivation also. Now I have taken vertical circular motion. So vertical circular motion, here rigid body for they have taken, but if I am talking about vertical circular motion for suppose this is a string tied with a rope, string like this. So minimum velocity required to complete the circle is under root 5 gr at this point. This velocity is under root 3 gr. This is again 3 under root 3 gr. This is under root gr. Tension at this point is equal to 6 mg. Tension is equal to 3 mg. Tension is equal maybe 0 and tension is equal to same as here. C and B same. C and B same. Now guys, if you have to take this rod is given, and in order to complete the circle, so vertical loop may be completed in this by under root 4 gl, under root 4 gl or r. You can write this r if you are taken here, they have taken l, so that's why. So this you have to keep if this is a rod like this things, so you have to keep in mind. If this is a string like this, you have to keep this thing in mind. Now canonical pendulum. So conical pendulum or canonical pendulum, the same thing they were asked many times. So they are moving in horizontal circle, guys. So this tension I already said that tension is balancing mg, and t sine theta is equal to providing required centripetal force. So when you are dividing these things, you get tan theta is equal to v square by rg, and time period you can write that time period is 2 pi under root l cos theta by g. You should keep in mind, guys, time period is 2 pi under root l by g effective. So this g effective actually may be g plus a, g minus a, or in terms of like g by cos theta, like anything. So here actually g effective you can calculate like this. So these things you have to also keep in mind. Now next thing is, guys, angular acceleration relation, like v is equal to u plus 18. So you can write v omega is equal to omega naught plus alpha t, and theta is equal to omega naught t plus half alpha t square, and omega square is equal to omega naught square plus 2 alpha theta. So directly you can use this formula. Center of mass, most important thing is that this formula, if you remember, and you can also write in mathematical form like this. This is for discrete mass system. When masses are kept like this, you can write the use formula m1 x1 plus m2 x2 plus m3 x3, like this formula upon m1 plus m2 plus m3. So integration of because for continuous mass system, summation replaces by integration. So this integration of x dm upon integration of dm, y dm upon dm, z dm upon dm. You have to keep in mind what is this x, y and z. This is x coordinate of the point which you are selecting, and this you have to keep in mind. Center of mass divides masses in inverse ratio. So that is, guys, this distance is, if you have to calculate this distance, let this distance is what, m2l divided by m1 plus m2, inverse ratio, and this is m1l divided by m1 plus m2. Now center of mass of symmetrical body is always at the center. So if this is a symmetrical structure, so center of mass is at b by 2 and l by 2. Now this some concept is very important, that is triangular plate. Center of mass will h by 3. For triangular plate, this is h by 3, that is centroid also, you can say that. Now a semicircular ring, this formula, student, many has some confusion, so I'm just taken. Semicircular ring is actually 2r by pi. This is 2r by pi, guys, and this is nothing but 4r by 3 pi. This is disk. same is actually they will not ask you the whole ring or whole disk, because whole ring center of mass will be at the center, so they will not ask. But half ring actually center of mass 2r by pi, and this is 4r by 3 pi. A hemisphere is center of mass r by 2, and solid hemisphere center of mass actually 3r by 8. This formula is very important to keep in mind. Circular cone center of mass will be h by 4, and for hollow cone it is h by 3. So solid, and I am just taking from the base, guys. And you remember, if one question of J they ask from the vertex, what is the distance? You just h minus h by 4, that is you can say that 3h by 4 here. And from the vertex, if what I am writing from the vertex, they have given from the this base, this vertex h minus h by 3, that is I can write 2h by 3. So circular cone hollow, from the vertex it is 2h by 3, and from the vertex it is 3h by 4. Now guys, if I differentiate that equation, you get, suppose I wrote the equation earlier, x center of mass actually m1 x1 or m1 r1 plus m2 r2 upon m1 plus m2. So you can use the result directly, differentiate it. So this velocity of center of mass is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2 divided by m1 plus m2. If there is no external force acting on the system, the acceleration of center of mass will be 0. So acceleration of center of mass of the 0 means velocity of center of mass remains constant. If center of mass earlier, and if there is no external force acting on the position, center of mass will not change its position. Like if center of mass earlier at any point, it will remain at the same point. You have to keep this all result into mind also. One thing I want to tell you here, center of mass, actually some question that you shifted this way, how much x point, suppose like you can say 8 or 9 question of HCV, or 7 8 9 question of HCV. Suppose one mass earlier is m1 here and m2 is here, some position they have given origin and r comma 0 or like that, or 0 comma r they have given like this. So you can use this result, guys. Delta x center of mass or delta y center of mass, change in position of center of mass, is m1 delta x1 plus m2 delta x2 divided by m1 plus m2, and similarly m1 delta y1. What is delta x1 is change in position, so I don't know how much it changes in position, so you write x minus something or like this you can use to calculate some result also. Delta x center of mass, some question I'll discuss later on this concept. Now guys, coefficient of rest. Now impulse momentum theorem is very important theorem, because change in momentum is equal to impulse. This is nothing but, guys, actually you know that rate of change of momentum is dp by dt is equal to force. Now you know these things. So what I have done here, guys, force into time is impulse. So this dt you have sent this and integrated both sides. This is impulse momentum theorem. Basically change in momentum is equal to impulse, because force into time is impulse, and you have to also remember the unit of impulse, Newton second, and dimension of impulse you should keep in mind. So if they ask you which of the following has identical dimension, impulse and momentum has identical dimension. Impulse dimension is same as momentum, because Newton second is same as impulse. Now coefficient of restitution. Coefficient of restitution is velocity of separation upon velocity of approach. This you have to keep in mind, as well as impulse of reformation upon impulse of deformation. This I will discuss later, guys, but you should write velocity of separation v2 minus v1 upon u1 minus u2. So I am writing this as, suppose this is u1, particle is moving with u1 and u2 initially. After collision, this is moving with v1 and this is moving with v2. Initially collision will take place only when u1 is greater than u2, and after collision this velocity will increase. So I have written final means velocity of separation is this and velocity of approach is this. This is coefficient of restitution, keep in mind. So some condition, coefficient of restitution is 1 for elastic collision, and for elastic collision the question is being asked, guys, elastic collision kinetic energy and momentum remains conserved. Momentum always remains conserved in all the cases, so I'm not bothering about this. Momentum remains conserved here, here and here, all the three cases, but kinetic energy only remains conserved in case of elastic collision. And you should keep in mind, guys, in elastic collision, suppose a body is mass m, another body is mass m, this is moving with speed u, and this is moving with, this is at rest. After colliding the object, after collision, this will comes at rest, this body comes to rest, and this will move with speed u, means velocity will interchange if this is elastic collision. So some formula is there, so you have to also keep that formula in mind, like m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 into u1 plus 2 m2 u2 divided by m1 plus m2. This formula, which is velocity after separation, and similarly v2 is equal to 2 m1 u1 divided by m1 plus m2 into plus m2 minus m1 divided by m1 plus m2 into u. This formula, if you remember, directly calculate some questions of collisions. In kinetic energy remains conserved here, and if coefficient, if this things is inelastic collision or perfectly inelastic collision, coefficient of restitution is 0, and in this case when it is partially elastic collision, it lies between 0 to 1. In all this there is loss in kinetic energy, so they may ask you loss in kinetic energy for this system. Now variable mass system, actually like rocket propulsion and all these things, so F is equal to, you know, that m into a, but here actually mass is changing, so I'm just writing this as, because acceleration is dv by dt na? So I can write this as, when you differentiate it, what you will write, see, this is m dv by dt plus c. I can write, suppose how these things comes, let me discuss these things. Suppose guys, if you know that p is momentum m into v, so force you have to calculate dp by dt na, force you have to calculate dp by dt, so m dv by dt you will write plus v dm by dt you will write. So if velocity is constant, differentiation is 0 na, if velocity is constant, differentiation is 0, so this is f v dm by dt, which we have written here. Okay, so rocket is actually, when it attains the relative velocity, actually this velocity, I should not say 0 here, because actually this is a relative velocity, actually I can take into account. So this I will discuss guys, actually don't bother, actually this I will discuss later. So since mass is changing, so you can use this formula, v relative into dm by dt. I have written here v relative guys, keep in mind this is v relative, so relative velocity change I have taken 0. I will discuss these things in detail. And in rocket propulsion case, v is equal to vr ln m naught by m. Now this is rigid body dynamics, very important. Omega you have to calculate in this case, so you have to take velocity perpendicular component, means b a sine l theta 1 minus b sine theta 2 upon this perpendicular distance. So this actually rigid body have this velocity, if you are taking the velocity along the rigid body, this will be always constant. So va cos theta 1 I can write vb cos theta 2, and this if you have to calculate omega, this velocity minus this velocity upon this separation, let it be L. So omega is equal to that v a sine theta 1 minus vb sine theta 2 upon L. Now the rigid body may have different types of acceleration and motion like that, so we are taking into all the consideration of these things. Actually this video is became going very large, so I'm just cutting short in this time and making another video, so that you can watch all the videos, so that it will be not very time consuming. So moment of inertia I can be written as mr square, means summation of mr square, I is equal to 1 to n, so mi ri, this is moment of inertia I. This is same as mass. So what the mass plays the role in mechanics, moment of inertia plays in rotational dynamics. Like I'll give you some example, F is equal to m into a, you write na. So torque, force, actually rotational force is torque here, is equal to I into alpha, you can write. You know that momentum is equal to m into v na. This momentum is angular momentum, m role is played by I into omega. So this type of things resemblance you can find out, torque with this and L with this. Even many kinetic energy you can write half mv square na. So rotational kinetic energy, in kinetic energy rotation you can write half I omega square. These all things will actually resembles along with each other. So moment of inertia is summation of mi ri square, like this, they have written like this. So for continuous bodies, moment of inertia is integration of dm r square. So if you take a small strip, like a small strip from this distance, like this rod of mass m, length l, so this I have taken dm. So what is this dm is mass per unit length. So this distance I have taken x. So you can write moment of inertia as dm into r square. So this distance I have taken x from this point, so I can write m by l into x square. And actually m, this thickness is dx. So this is mass per unit length, m by l into dx na, because length and length cancel, then m remaining, so into dx. Now integrating it from 0 to l, you get result ml square by 3 here. But moment of inertia, if you have to calculate at center from object passing through center of mass, so that will be ml square by 12. So I have written a two theorem which is very important: perpendicular axis theorem and parallel axis theorem. Perpendicular axis theorem say that this is valid only for planar object, means if object in 2 dimension, then only you can apply perpendicular. Parallel axis has no limit, this is applied for any type of body. So if you know that moment of inertia about center of mass, you can shift that moment of inertia toward any distance, so that is md square. Suppose if I know moment of inertia, this is ml square by 12. About this point, moment of inertia can be calculated. Suppose this distance is l by 2, so ml square by 12 plus ml by 2 whole square, guys. Okay, ml by 2, this gives you this result. Okay, so some object which you have to keep in mind. Most of the student has confusion solid and hollow sphere. So solid sphere is 2 by 5 mr square and hollow sphere is 2 by 3 mr square. Moment of inertia is more for hollow sphere. Moment of inertia is more for hollow sphere, and you should know that moment of inertia gives you the ease with which body can be rotated about an axis. So it is easy to rotate this solid sphere as compared to this hollow sphere. Mr square is the moment of inertia of a ring about passing through the center. See guys, one thing you have to keep in mind, these all points are passing through diameter. This is moment of inertia about its diameter, and this is moment of inertia about its center of mass, means and perpendicular to the plane. Passing through center of mass and perpendicular to the plane is mr square. And this is for a disc. This is the question of JEE. They have asked the cut disc moment of inertia. So this is not if mass is m, moment of inertia is mr square by 2 for this structure also. No, it will not change. And for entire disc, it is also mr square by 2. For disc, mr square by 2. For hollow cylinder is just like a ring passing through the center of mass and perpendicular to length, mr square. And solid cylinder is mr square by 2. Solid cylinder is mr square by 2. Now this we have calculated this moment of inertia of a rod about one of this point is ml square by 3, and about center of mass it is ml square by 12. Now if you are using the parallel axis perpendicular axis theorem, you can find this result that about any axis, this question also asked JEE this year also, moment of inertia about this different structure. So that is ma square by 12 IAB. See, this is IAB, ICD and IEF. Also this ma square by 12. Square plate ma square by 6. This you have to keep this result as it is, ma square by 6. And if this is actually not a square, so this is a the rectangular plate, so ma square plus mb square by 12. This result you have to keep in mind. Now this cuboid ma square plus mb square by 12, moment of inertia can be written as I is equal to mk square. Torque is r cross f. This is valid for point object. And if body, if I am talking about, torque is equal to I alpha. If body is rotating is equal about any axis or hinge, so that is I alpha. So torque of a body about any hinge point is this, and this is for point object. Torque is equal to r cross f. This r and this f, r is taken from origin or generally from any reference. Now you have to keep in mind in this chapter, guys, this we have discussed. Now this is the counterpart of this. Now this all things is not very important, which is actually now you have, this is very important concept, rotational. And actually when a body is in equilibrium, now only translational equilibrium will not be there, so there is must condition of rotational equilibrium also. If a body is in equilibrium, that means both equilibrium we are talking, translational equilibrium and rotational equilibrium. Like I have we can solve some question like that. Up, if a rod is sliding, if a ladder or rod is sliding like this. So actually guys, what you can say that what are the forces acting on this rod? This normal here N1, this normal here N2, mg is acting like this. So for a rotational equilibrium and translation, how you will write? For translational equilibrium you can write that N1 must be equal to mg, because they are like acting like this now. If they are smooth, but suppose guys, if friction is, this is smooth and there is friction, so friction will act in this direction f. So for translational equilibrium you can write this, and for rotational equilibrium, this is translational equilibrium condition along x-axis and y-axis. So this I have written. And for rotational equilibrium torque, you have to take torque about this point. So if you are taking torque about this point, torque of friction will be 0, torque of normal will be 0, torque of mg you can write mg into this distance. Suppose this is L by 2, this is L by 2 also, no? So this is L by 2 cos theta. L by 2 cos theta is equal to torque of this point, means this is N2, this is N2, and this perpendicular length you have to calculate. Suppose this is h, so N2 into h you can write in terms of L also, L sin theta like this. This is L sin theta also, so L sin theta. So you can calculate. This is for rotational equilibrium. Torque you are equating as 0. So torque you are equating as 0. This you have to keep in mind. And since we have taken direction x and y, so torque is always perpendicular to the plane, so that's why you have taken z. Okay, so these things you have many questions asked on this concept. Now angular momentum is basically, I can say that it is actually if we attach turning effect with linear momentum. Angular momentum is turning effect attached with linear momentum. Turning effect of linear momentum is angular momentum. Now guys, suppose a particle is moving like this with mass particle mass and velocity v. So no matter when you see from here, linear momentum is mv, but its angular momentum, in this case if you are seeing from here, angular momentum is 0. In this case, angular momentum mv r perpendicular. This perpendicular distance you have to calculate, r perpendicular. So you write mv r perpendicular if you are watching from here. Here you have to also calculate this r perpendicular. So guys, one thing I want to say that angular momentum depends on frame of reference. It depends on frame of reference. But linear momentum is independent of frame of reference. These things you have to keep in mind, because if you are calculating linear momentum from any point, it is m into v. Angular momentum, if you are calculating from different point, it is different. So angular momentum is dependent on frame of reference, linear momentum is independent of frame of reference. Now guys, I know that force is equal to dp by dt na? So force counterpart I said torque na? So this is dl by dt. Rate of change of angular momentum is torque. Rate of change of angular momentum is torque. Now guys, if there is no external force on the system, I can say that linear momentum remains conserved. If there is no external torque, so angular momentum remains conserved, because you know that constant differentiation is only 0. So angular momentum remains conserved if there is no external force acting on the body. Linear momentum remains conserved. This is principle of conservation of momentum also. m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. Like here I can write I1 omega 1 plus I is equal to I2 omega 2. This is principle of conservation of angular momentum, because angular momentum remains conserved when external torque is 0. Now which we have done here, see torque is equal to dl by dt, and like force impulse, torque impulse is same, torque t dot d t is equal to delta j. So these things you have to keep in mind. Now these things is not important in rotational dynamics guys. In rotational dynamics, angular momentum, like torque, you can write actually r cross f na? So this also written as rf sin theta. So this you can write rf perpendicular either, f r perpendicular either. So simply angular momentum you can write r cross p. So this is rp sin theta na? So this is rp perpendicular or r perpendicular p. This you can write for angular momentum, but this is for point object. For body, I alpha and I omega, L is equal to I omega and torque is equal to I alpha. But here one thing I want to tell you, if the body is in, suppose a cycle is moving like in a road like this, so this actually center of mass is moving with some velocity and it is rotating also. So angular momentum can be written as I center of mass into omega plus r cross p. This you can use, so r cross this when body is rotating and translating both. Total kinetic energy I can also write half mv center of mass square plus half I omega center of mass square. Okay, now guys, actually I'm stopping this video here only because it is too long. In a next lecture we are continuing from simple harmonic motion. So thank you everyone.